Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra Batiste. This is Jarvis Davis, and we are so excited that you decided to stop by and rock with us again today. Also excited that you are rocking with this whole Locked On Sports Atlanta network because we are over 1,400 subscribers, and we are truly grateful for it. And we're also grateful when you guys go to YouTube and subscribe, like, or follow us and leave comments, as well as when you go to wherever you download your podcasts and check us out and leave us a 5-star rating. That always means the world to us. And speaking of 5-star, there is a five
Ooh,
star heavily touted
super five
recruit.
star.
Exactly. If there was something above a 5-star, dude would be that. And we are talking about, of course, Arch Manning, who every university in this country has been after since Ben. We're just going to say it like that, since
Yeah.
Ben. But
Mm-hmm.
he has seemingly narrowed his choices down, right? So he's going to be traveling to several schools in the month of June, including Alabama, including UGA, and I believe Tennessee.
Texas,
So
Texas.
Texas,
Yep.
excuse me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got to get your T's right and keep your T's right. So yeah, so he will be
Indeed.
traveling to Austin, Athens, and Tuscaloosa in the coming weeks. But we are here to talk about his trip to Athens and
Right.
whether or not that is something that actually Georgia needs to do. Now we always talk about the fact that Jarvis, you can never have enough players in the room, right? At
Right.
certain positions, be that the
Right.
running back room, for example, sometimes the DB room, for example,
Mm-hmm.
running back room, sometimes. But let's talk about the fact that Georgia has an embarrassment of riches when it comes not just to this year, but when it comes to the class coming in next year. So, Jarvis, is this still viable when you know what your quarterback room looks like to still go after the number one recruit in the country?
Here's why I say that you almost have to,
Mhm.
because we know how Kirby Smart has recruited over the years, right? Like
Yes.
he's I call him Big Boss
Yeah.
Hog. I think he's a guy that's starting to take over in that space because you know I think if you just look at the billboard that was put up like come to Georgia, you know why I was up there? Because had 15 dudes drafted this year into the NFL. So hey,
15.
15, yes, that many. So when you think about all of those guys going in the first round as well, so it just speaks to what he has going on down there and what he's trying to do. So I think that Arch Manning, it will behoove Arch Manning to at least be interested, right? And if
Yes.
Arch Manning
Yes.
is interested, yeah, go ahead and court him or whatever. But the big piece for me though is that reason why I say they probably really don't need to,
Right.
let me not say that.
I know
The
what you
reason
mean.
why
Yeah.
they don't really need to just go all out of their way to try to get him is because
Hmm.
you won a national championship with Stetson Bennett. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not like, and the reasons why, one of the reasons why they won a national championship with Stetson Bennett is because they had one of the most legendary defenses ever.
Ever.
You know what I'm saying? And they were
Ever.
locked and loaded to
Loaded.
locked and loaded as far as on that side of the football, and I don't think that's
Yes.
changing anytime soon. Kirby
No.
Smart is going to consistently fill the cupboard with
Yeah.
great defensive players. He has an eye for that. So I think that the way your team is currently constructed,
Hmm.
that if they get Arch Manning, yeah, that's like getting that extra syrup on that ice cream sundae. Like you don't necessarily really need it,
Right.
but
It'd be
if you
nice.
got it though, if you got an opportunity to get it, why not? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I am with Arch Manning. If I'm Arch Manning though, T,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
can insert myself into this whole recruiting piece, I go to Texas because when you think about them even being in the conversation
Yeah.
for the playoff. They're getting ready to go. They're getting ready to go into the
Yeah.
SEC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're getting ready to make that shift. But if you get in there and get you a little conference championship, go in there, start a true freshman year, The dude would literally run the state of Texas. Like he can literally play at Texas for 4 years and then go run for governor of the state. Like literally right after. Like you don't
Right.
even have to wait. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if he's really big on legacy, like I think a lot of people have talked about from the things I've been seeing.
Yes.
I think he might need to make that choice to go on down to Texas. I know we're Atlanta based, show and everything, but I'm just saying what if the man trying to establish his own thing and do his own thing, like that might be the spot for you.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see because that's a decision that Eli Manning made, right? He
Right.
decided that he was going to go in his own direction and kind of, or excuse me, um, his brother. I'm saying Eli Manning, but Peyton Manning, right?
Payman,
Going
yes.
to Tennessee. So kind of like the path that you kind of want to carve out for yourself, and whether or not that path looks like it would have all the lore and all the glory, if you will, better at Tennessee, better at Alabama, better at Georgia. And listen, not just to carve out a legacy separate and apart from the other Mannings, but to carve out a legacy separate and apart from the other quarterbacks at your respective schools. Now, that's actually where I kind of like the possibility of him being a QB at Georgia, because real talk, Texas has had a quarterback that Vince Young will always be that guy for them, right?
Right.
Until
Yes.
somebody comes and one ups him. Not to say Arch Manning can't do that under Steve Sarkisian, but again, Vince Young is that guy. The statue is there.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah, he's a dude.
over in Alabama, you still have.
You got to wait in
I mean,
line.
that's what I was going to say. I mean, which one do you
Like we
want
got
to
to
go
wait in
to?
line over there.
Bryce Young is still creating his legacy. So we
Right.
still don't know what that's going to look like, and it may have only been a game, if you will. But Tua
Right.
Tagovailoa, there's a little mini statue for what he did as well, and we could go the list could go on and on, but I'm just talking about the two reasons. Georgia, however, if you think about it, Jarvis, Georgia's kind of known for having more of those game manager type quarterbacks, right? They're
Yes.
solid, and they can definitely do what they need to do, like Stetson Bennett did when they have an amazing defense. And who knows, taking nothing away from what Carson Beck may end up doing or John Grant Vandergriff may end up doing. But what I'm
Hmm.
saying is Georgia's intriguing as well because they don't really have that guy under center who has a statue in Athens. So it could be intriguing for Arch Manning as well to be the first guy that put the position of
Right.
quarterback in legendary status for the Dogs.
And that's the thing that we've always kind of said it was kind of like a knock, right? Because Georgia doesn't have a great track record. Let me not say Georgia. Kirby Smart doesn't have a great track record of handling 5-star quarterbacks, right? You got Justin Fields and Jacob Eason and all those guys, getting up out of there. So it's just those things are something that are on his record. So that's why I say I kind of get it, but you know what I'm saying, like I said, it'll be extra pudding on top if they were to get Arch Manning. And like I said, if he comes in here, he might have a Matt Stafford type legacy that he can establish and maybe even be better because
Yeah,
Matt Stafford was probably, I would say, probably the biggest quarterback prospect,
correct.
the last biggest prospect to come out of Georgia, and being the
I
number
would
one
agree.
overall pick going to Detroit. So,
Yes.
I,
They didn't win a title.
he got some decisions to make, T. That's for sure. Marsh got some decisions to make. So I think it's all about what he wants to do and how he wants to establish his legacy
Yes.
once he's done playing college football. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, however, but it's just like we already know where this kid is headed. Like there's like when Uncle Eli and Uncle Peyton are sitting back chilling, watching your games. You already know
Yeah.
where he's going.
Oh,
He's going to get plenty opportunity to go to the
yeah.
NFL.
The only thing that will derail that is injury, and we pray, of course, not speaking anything negative into existence. But yeah, that is the only thing that will derail him. Heck, he can go to even whatever team he wants to. Just ask Uncle Eli.
Yeah.
You might want that number. You might get that number one pick and then be
Talking about
like,
having a juice.
yeah,
He got the
exactly. Like I want to
juice.
go where I want to go. Right. But I thought to myself, I was like, man, you know, the other piece of that is this. I think to be in a family that understands the kind of pressure, because I thought about this too, like, man, what kind of pressure must that be for a kid, right? But then I said, you know what? Not bad because you have a family 2 generations in now, right? Because
Yeah.
Archie Manning saw this in a different way, of course, pre social media, pre internet, pre all of that. But still, there was a lot of pressure on him because of all that he was able to bring to the table. And how do you manage through being on or part of a losing franchise like the Saints and never really get
Hmm.
to see your full potential and then, get to the Vikings, but it's on the other side of your career, so to speak. And how do you manage through all of those expectations? And then, of course, his dad and
Right.
understanding when you get unfortunately diagnosed with basically a condition that ends your career
Right.
and you don't have a choice in the matter. How do you manage through adversity? And then of course your
Man.
uncle Peyton, with all the pressure on him of not being able to win the big one, not being able to win the championship, not being able to get the Heisman, and then having to wait so long to get his. And then, of course, Eli with the pressure of having to meet the expectations of a Peyton and an Archie that have gone before you. So the one thing I will say is
In New
whatever,
York too, as well. Yeah.
yeah,
You get a
exactly.
little pressure up there too.
And that's like you almost I mean like you have to be Teflon like Eli was to manage through living in that space. But yeah, I think that's also a good barometer for how he'll make a great decision for himself. But I tell you, being someone who's originally from New Orleans, I just like sitting there and watching the whole Arch Manning sweepstakes. I just love
Right.
me some Mannings.
It's crazy. It's almost like they put him in a cocoon, right? Because
Yeah,
a lot of people may think that Eli and Peyton are really involved in the recruiting aspect, but they put it all in the hands of Archer's head coach.
yes,
He's handled everything, and he's
and I
just been
appreciate that.
being able to, like, the old school way, right? Because the high
Yeah,
school coach, the head coach, used to handle that stuff,
sure,
and a lot of the future of those players used to be in the hands of the head coach, depending on what he used to say when those recruits used to come in town. So
right.
it's a very old school way of thinking, and it has worked because I haven't heard anything about Arch, tweeting out stuff or doing any other thing that a lot of guys who are highly recruited nowadays are doing. So hey, it was the right way to go. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And that is the Newman way, and I can appreciate that. And we will continue to watch and see how it goes in a couple of weeks. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with old school, right? Maybe
Hmm.
the NBA should think about that. We'll talk about it in For the Culture on the other side.